This episode of the podcast is brought to you by HRH Combat Arms. They can turn your vision into reality. They specialize in gunsmithing and Cerakoting. Your Cerakote specialist is Air Force veteran and retired police sergeant Paul Ware, aka the Sarge. He can Cerakote your firearms, auto parts, tools, even your sports equipment. And then your master gunsmith is Marine veteran Steve Miller. This veteran-owned business is located at 5025 Saunders Suite 103, Fort Worth, Texas 76119. You can call them at 682-304-0363, and you can find them online at www.hrhcombatarms.com. That's www.hrhcombatarms.com. All right, welcome back to Cops One Donut. I am your host, Eric Levine, and today I got a special guest with me, a friend of mine, somebody that I actually trained in the police academy, believe it or not, despite that gray beard you see. He went through our geriatric program, the one, the only, Officer Fonksta Holland from the Fishbowl
Hey,
Network. What's up, brother?
what's going on?
You
How's it
already know.
going?
Living the dream, sir.
Living a dream, the radio dream.
Yeah, trying to be
love
like
it.
you, man.
Oh man, sure, that's not hard to do. You're doing better than me. I tell you, I love
I
this,
need,
man.
I need my car all wrapped up like you had.
Oh wow. You know, I got a story on that. When I first started the police academy, my mom told me, "Say you get rid of that car, cause somebody gonna go and kill you by being the police."
Yeah,
Seeing your face on that car, get rid of it. So I had to get rid of it, man.
nice. All right, so guys, this episode, this is one I've been looking forward to for a while.
Oh
One
my, me too.
because Holland here has got a very unique perspective, and what I mean was he was a community activist, community outreach, neighborhood friend, whatever you want to call it, way before he got in police work. He jumped into police work because he wanted to see the change affected, and he was going to do it with his own two hands. So he became the change he wanted to see. Now, he waited till he was well into his 40s, which was fun for me because I just happened to be an academy instructor at the time, and I like to root for the underdogs. And when I saw, we tend to talk and ask people why they became a cop and stuff like that. And his reason is one of the same reason I wanted to be a cop. So it really stuck out to me because he grew up in the same type of neighborhood I did, all of that stuff. Now, without getting into where we work, but we'll walk around that delicately. But
All right.
sir, tell everybody who you are, where you came from, the radio thing. We'll jump into that, and then the morph into becoming a cop.
Yeah, I'm just a local. I call myself a local boy from Fort Worth, Texas, and I was blessed to have a father that was in the army, so he traveled around, and I was able to experience different cultures because of him. So when we landed in Fort Worth, and my mom and pops, they kind of divorced and whatnot, I end up in Stop Six Eastwood area, and
Okay.
one of the things is that I learned, how people in lower incomes was having to survive.
Explain to people what that stop six fish. Explain the fishbowl, all of that stuff, because I want
Yeah,
people to really
yeah,
understand the type of neighborhood you came from. I can say Flint,
right.
where I'm from, and people kind of get an
Ooh,
idea.
Flint.
But your area, to me, is very similar.
It's very similar because we have the dope, we have the gangs, we have everything that's detrimental to society existing in that little area, you know.
Yeah.
So that's just like Flint, exactly like you said it. You have the lower income trying to survive, by any means necessary. So that means coming in your house and sticking up your family and taking your money. That's what happens.
Hmm.
You know, there's many nights we heard shootings. And everybody ducking on the floor. I mean, there's dope dealers on the corner where you go to school at. Gangs riding up and down the neighborhood. And it was just a crazy area to live in.
Yeah.
You know.
What was the opinion of police in that particular area?
Oh, of course, the police was the enemy. I mean, because they were stopping you in your mentality, stopping you from making a means to survive. You
Right.
know, so you're not thinking that this dope that you're selling is killing your community. You know, that the people that you're robbing don't have more than you have. You didn't think about that. You just did
Right.
it. You
Now,
know,
in the height of the crime, because I know that area now,
Mhm.
it's still got its issues, but
Right.
I think there was a peak earlier. I don't think
Hmm.
we're that place is where it used to be, which is a good
Right.
thing.
Right.
But in its peak, what would you say? 80s, 90s, or 90s, 2000s?
91, 92, 93, when Fort Worth actually became, or was nicknamed Murder Worth. You
Okay.
know, that's when it happened. You had people coming from California. We didn't know anything about gangs until 90. And that's when the gangs started to influence the neighborhood and also the youth in it.
Okay. And how old were you during this time?
I was about 17, 18 at the time, you
Okay.
know.
So you were at a very influential age. What stopped you from taking the crime life?
Well, one of the things is wanting better, and mom was a school teacher. So she said, hey, listen, this is not your norm, you know, and you could do better,
Yeah.
and trying to keep us away from the negativity the best she could, you know.
Okay. Were
So
you into
that's what had
sports at
me.
all? You play
Yeah, I was in the
sports?
football. Yeah, in the football, did a little bit of it. And really entertainment was my niche though, and
Yeah.
that's when rap first started coming out. And I went by so many street names as a rapper.
Oh, you was a rapper.
Yeah, I was a rapper.
Oh, shit.
Uh,
Did you have like the the big old
the
radio on your shoulder?
radio box.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Nah, I didn't have the radio box. I think that's a New York thing. We're
Okay.
Southern boys.
All right.
Yeah,
See.
so that was
Okay.
that was something to get out the streets, even though rap was entangled with the streets because a lot of dope dealers had studios, and
Yeah.
that's where I recorded at.
Okay. Oh, so you was in actual studios and stuff.
Oh yeah, oh
Damn.
yeah,
That was
yeah, I
dope
was in
funded.
studio. Oh yeah, oh yeah,
Dang.
yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
you didn't know that because they kept it on the low low until
Yeah.
after the fact. He said, "Oh wow, such and such is
Yeah.
doing that."
Right. Um, so in that, obviously the police are looked at as trying to keep people from making their paper, stuff like that.
Mhm.
How how did you start to get the mindset? Well, I'm jumping ahead. Okay, so you were rapping, you were was that going to be a way to make money, or was that a way to just get your name out there amongst the community? Um, how did you start to flip, at 17, 18 into your 20s? How did you start to flip into trying to help the community, or what type of job were you trying to get? You know what I mean?
Well, one of the things when I was doing it, it was all about being notarized where you came from, representing your
Right.
city, your neighborhood.
817.
817 stop six, you're throwing that up. And
Yeah.
you wanted to be the voice of that neighborhood. So my lyrics were basically I guess I was trying to write them for the rest of the streets.
Okay.
The people who couldn't rap. I said, well, I
Right.
can rap, so I'm gonna do this. I really
Okay.
couldn't, but I did. I
Is there a record of it anywhere? Is it on tape?
Well, on YouTube, you can go
Oh.
Fonkster, and I got my famous hit "How We Roll," Funky Town. That
Uh-oh.
song,
Let me
that's on
find out.
YouTube.
I'm gonna have to pull that up after the show.
Heck yeah, man!
No
It was,
shit. I didn't know
it was
that.
all right.
That's awesome.
It did pretty good, you know. So
Okay.
I did that, and then I entangled myself with a lot of other rappers from Houston, and branching out is what made me look at radio and said, "Man, I want to go do radio,"
Okay.
And yeah, so I own a record store off of Star Cup and Berry, and
Really?
yeah, I own it's called Good Time Records. Yeah, so myself and a childhood friend of mine, we opened it up in efforts to make employment for some of the brothers that was in Stop Six.
How
You
old were
know,
you at the time?
oh, I was what about 25, 26 years old at the
Dang.
time. Yeah, so we
Okay.
own our we own our own store till we got broken into, and they cleaned us out, and we didn't have no bounce back. Didn't do any insurance or anything like that, so we had to shut it down.
So you got firsthand knowledge on just how your own neighborhood was tearing itself down.
Oh yeah,
Just in that. You know what I
oh
mean?
yeah.
Yeah, we know that dope tears apart communities and stuff like that, but
Hmm.
here you got people trying to open up businesses in places that most people ain't gonna want to open a business.
Oh yeah.
And you see the cycle, the circle that happens because of it.
Hmm.
Eh,
And also the family structure is not there. Okay, I know in
Right,
Flint, you could say it the same in Flint. You have baby mama, baby daddy, they're not together, and all you have your kids in between.
right,
Kids, their mama's working two or three jobs, and the kids wander out into the streets, and the streets start raising the kids.
right. Yeah,
See,
yeah. Your friends start raising each other.
right,
Yeah,
right, right.
yeah. And if you don't have now, you would get. It would be cool when you'd hang out with a friend who has a dad. Like
Hmm.
I remember that. Like my stepdad, like I did have a stepdad when I reached about 8 years old. Um,
Hmm.
he worked second shift. I didn't see him hardly at all, except maybe the weekends. And then my dad was down here in Texas doing the police thing. So
Wow,
for the most part, I was just like most of my friends.
right.
But I do remember I had two good friends that lived real close, Tim and Alan. No,
Hmm.
not trying to make a play on the pun, Tim Allen, the Tool Time guy, but they, you know, they had dads, and it was cool. Like one, he kind of taught me how to shoot bows and stuff like that, and then,
Heck yeah.
but for the most part, it was my grandparents that I saw quite a bit because my mom
Right,
worked. You know,
right.
so yeah, I get that, man, and I remember other kids that we called them the bike gang. They just roll around on bikes, like 12, 15 of them. And like, it'd always be like a hierarchy. And
Yep.
like the ones on the bottom of the hierarchy, they would be riding around on girls' bikes, little kids' bikes, and they just cruise until they saw another bike. And then
Right.
they'd set up, go steal it, and give you a beat down if you tried to stop them. But
Yep.
they would take that bike. Sometimes they would leave the crappiest bike in their group there, like so you'd have a replacement bike, but most of the time they take all of them, and then
Wow.
they would change the bikes out, like like
Oh
if you
man.
stole a really good bike, well now the top dog he gets that bike, and then the bikes move
Oh
around. So
wow.
fuckers,
Oh,
yeah, they got my bike a couple times.
they got you.
So, oh yeah,
He's honest. He's
yeah,
honest.
yeah, yeah. They
Look
got me.
out.
They got me at the corner store, man. I was street smart. I looked around. I was like, nah, they ain't around. I ain't seen them in a minute.
Right,
As
right.
I came out, man, they was halfway down the road. I was like,
Yep.
shit. Walk of shame.
If everybody is honest and that lived in the hood like you and I did, you gotta admit to getting got at least
Yeah.
once.
Oh
At
yeah.
least once,
Yep.
I
Yep.
mean,
There was a reason I
we're
never
not
wore my good
invincible.
shoes to school.
That's
Right?
right. That's right. For real.
Yep.
For real.
Yep. You
That's real
leave your
talk.
good
Mhm.
leave your good shoes in the locker at
That's right.
school, and they were for gym class only.
That's right.
And a lot
That's
of people
right.
don't understand why that rule came about.
And that's why their shoes got took.
Yep.
I mean,
Yep. You either had to know how to fight or be fast. One of the
that's
two.
right.
I was
That's right.
fast. So,
Well, I had a lot of family that lived in the hood as well. So, and they still do, for the most part.
yeah.
So we kind of somewhat looked out for each other, So
Mhm.
it was kind of like, oh, don't mess with him. That's just cousin. Leave him alone,
Yeah.
So that helped out a little bit.
Now, where I'm from, race, it was a pretty good mix, black and white.
Hmm.
I think Flint's predominantly black, but um, it's like half and half, maybe 60-40, something to that effect. And race was never an issue for me growing up. It wasn't like, but since I've been down south, that's a big thing down here. Like I hear it
Right.
all the time, and I'm like, it's a culture shock for me because it wasn't an issue up there. So for you growing up, and I'm sure it's predominantly black neighborhood as well.
Mhm.
Um, how was that a factor when it came to police, when it came to other gangs, anything? I just curious what it was like.
Well, there's a stereotypical view on each end as far as how some people look at blacks and some people look at cops. They have formulated this opinion about both sides by what they see and what they hear. You know, I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, yeah, slavery and all that happened, and it's terrible. We hate it, right? But as we transcend and start to get, older and start to see life for what it is, it became the have and the have nots,
So it was more
instead
of
of your
a
black and white.
economical.
It's an economical thing. Because you
Yeah.
had whites that live in the hood, in stop six, you know,
Right.
you had them, you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah, for
yeah,
sure.
yeah.
Um, okay, so you get your record store, that
Mhm.
flops. Had you earned your way into a radio show yet with that, or what happened after that went down?
Well, my partner and I, we started promoting concerts. And because we had gotten real good with some of the popular rappers in the South, in the South and Houston and stuff like that. So we started putting them on shows, you
Okay.
know. And with that being said, I used to go ahead and 97.9, 104, and all these little radio stations, socialize among them. So I was on the radio without getting paid, at that
Right.
time. So then I
Okay.
started going to Wichita Falls and Killeen and little small cities because I was able to have a more of an influence coming from a big city like Fort Worth to Wichita Falls. Well, I look like P. Diddy going in there, you know.
Right. Local hero.
Yeah, I'm a local hero. So here come
Yeah.
the Fonksta. He's bringing Switzer House for a show,
Yeah.
and then I'll be on the show, and they'll let me go ahead and broadcast. So I went to school for it. I
Okay.
said, let me go to school, man.
Now,
And
at the time, was you married? Was you did your girlfriend? I know you did. Sorry, my bad. Did
nah,
you
you
have
good.
kids yet? Did you? Just curious
Uh,
if your family had started yet.
yeah, yeah. I had a family. I had a wife, and I had two kids from her
Okay.
at the time, and we kind of just grew apart, along with this music business and everything else I was doing, It
Okay.
kind of jeopardized the family life. I'm never at home. I'm doing my thing in the streets, and it just didn't come together. You know,
Okay.
so yeah, so
Now,
that's the mess of it.
um, so you get going, you make it big, and then when does the community side start? Because I want people to understand, like, there's this there's obviously some sort of twist or turn that happens in your
Right,
head, and I just kind of want to
right.
understand that.
Well, people started talking about. I think when Trayvon Martin, when he got murdered, well, when he got killed, um, that's
Remind
when
me remind me of which one that was. Was that the
that,
Florida one?
there's the Florida one with Zingerman,
Oh, he's
and
Zimmerman. Yeah.
yeah,
Okay. Yeah.
Zingerman. And when he died, I used to be in constant conversation with people around, the city, even Dallas. You
Yeah.
know, um, I knew Sammy G, who is the owner of Fishbowl Radio Network. You know, I teamed up with her and had a radio show about police involvement with the black community. And
Okay.
and then when they asked me on the show, well, what are you going to do about it? I said, well, I'll get behind the scenes and see what's going on for real. And that what led me to take the test,
Okay.
and become
So
Fort Worth
George
police.
Zimmerman is the catalyst that made you start looking
Yep.
into PD.
Yes, sir.
Man,
That
that is
that
a
and also one more thing stimulated it, and it was my cousin was murdered. And it took Fort Worth PD, like 2 years to convict the killer. And he
okay.
was around, and I was like, man, I didn't understand that either.
Oh, so he was out on
So,
bond walking around.
right. And I'm running
Okay.
into him at the corner store and everything else. You
Right.
know?
Okay.
So
Shit. Yeah, that had to
yeah,
be rough. So
yeah.
you don't know how the system works inside and out at that
Right,
time. So, okay, I could see
right,
how that would alienate a community for sure. Um, for those that are wondering what we're talking about, like, if the judge allows bond and assuming you don't have very much of a criminal background, you're pretty much going to get offered a bond.
right,
It doesn't happen too often that you get a no bond. So, and it has to be reasonable.
right.
So basically, his cousin got murdered and the murderer got bond because you're innocent until proven guilty, according to the courts. So they can't just hold you unless they have
Hmm.
reason to.
That's right.
So that guy's out walking around in the community, and you got the George Zimmerman case going on. You got stuff like that going on.
Hmm.
And I like where your mindset's at, where my dad told me this is basically one of the things that flipped me into becoming a cop. He said you can be a part of the problem, you can be a part of the solution.
Solution.
And
Yes.
for me, it didn't trigger right away, but
Right.
it was in there the whole time. I'm like, damn it, he's right.
That's
So,
right. That's right. Right. Yeah.
and
Oh.
hard logic to argue. And, obviously I took that path, but so you pull the trigger and you're how old at the time?
Well, I'm 45 at the time. Well, I took the test at 44
Okay.
and I passed it. And they took a year to, do the background and all that other jazz. And then
Yeah.
at first they told me that I didn't qualify. They said you turned in too much, paperwork.
Okay.
So I was like, okay, what is that?
Yeah.
So she told me that you could take the next test in July, and I never did get the results of that next test. So at that point, I said, well, I'll go for Forest Hill. I'm gonna be a cop.
Yeah.
And I think around October, I had a corporal call me up and say, "Are you still interested?" I said, "Sure." They said, "Well, do you have a high school diploma?" And I said, "Well, I provided a college transcript." Okay,
Yeah.
so I said, did I skip middle school and go straight to college?
Yeah.
So I got kind of perturbed because I got, uh, the runaround from
Hmm.
the start, and then
Okay.
they took me to the psychologist in Dallas. He asked me a whole bunch of stupid questions. I felt like, did I whip my
Yeah.
wife or did I ever sell drugs and all this little stuff. I said, man, why are you shooting at me like that? I mean, I don't understand where it's coming from. And he said, don't worry about it. We'll talk to the department. You're free to go. So
Yeah.
they called me up and said, this is the only test that you could have failed, and you could still retest, but you got to pay $800 to do it.
Oh
And I
shit.
said, $800,
Yeah.
but damn.
Yeah.
So there was an officer, Isaiah Gardner, who pulled me to the side and said, man, I believe in you. Here's $800. Here's $800. Me and my wife said, we're going to give that to you so you can go
Oh.
ahead and get in. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So they told me there was no time frame uh, for me to take the test at first. So I took the two tests and passed them. And then I called the department and said, hey, I passed your two tests. They said, well, time has lapsed and you're going to still be disqualified. Don't worry about it. And that's when I told them I need to talk to IA on this. Let me talk to somebody on this. So I didn't quit, you
Okay.
know. And
Yeah.
then they called Terry, the department's lawyer.
Yep.
And she called me back. And within 5 minutes of the call, she told me, hey, you started in January. You know what I mean? So that's how I got on.
Nice. I like
Yep.
it. And
Yep.
look at you now, making a
Look at me
difference.
now.
Right?
Trying to, really,
So,
really
okay.
trying.
So you get on. Now, at the time, you were with Fishbowl Network, correct?
Yes. Yes. I
Okay.
was.
So get in, explain what Fishbowl Network is, what their purpose is, and all that stuff. I want people to kind of understand that better.
Well, Sammy had what Sammy G, she's the owner of Fishbowl Radio. And she has this vision of trying to empower people to do their own broadcasts, you know, and streamline. Radio is a funny monster. They make you play what pays. You know, payola, I believe it's real. Because if you don't have the money, you won't get advertisement and music and
Right?
all that stuff played. So Sammy G, what she did, she allowed us to come in there and voice ourselves on her radio network that was online. She has her online network, millions of people around the world that are listening to this network.
Yeah.
And what she does, she allow us to take a 4 hour block slot, you know, and do whatever you want to do
Okay.
whatever you want to push. Now, well, our energy was good because what I was trying to push was the community and
Yes.
empowering the community, giving the community a voice with the Mission Radio Show, you know,
Hmm.
and I brought Christian hip hop, because I knew that the music influenced the youth and Christian hip hop was given a new twist, to the youth. You
Yeah.
know, it gives you another outlook, and you're still as talented. And Lecrae, Andy Mineo, and you got several of them, KB, and I threw them all on the radio on my show on the Mission, along with community voices. So I will pick out small businesses and things like that to broadcast on my show and promote
Yeah.
themselves, you know, and
Yeah.
um, and also networking, you know, because if you listen to the Mission Radio Show and you was in this podcast, I just interviewed a dude that was doing podcasts. So you will hook up with him, he'll hook up with you, and then
Yeah.
you guys have businesses,
Yep.
so
Yeah.
that's what it was all
I
about.
Okay. And so correct me if I'm wrong.
Uh-huh.
The fishbowl, I want people to kind of understand this is a particular part of the hood in Fort Worth that
Mhm.
was one way in, one way out type thing, or
Yes.
it was in a circle. I can't remember. There's actually a book that was written about it by
Right.
a police officer.
Right.
I
Right.
don't remember the name
Right.
of it, but I know there was a book written about the fishbowl because of the way
Right.
the gangs and stuff dealt drugs in there, communicated with each other. It
Oh
was
yeah.
just very unique little area, its own fishbowl.
Right.
Um,
It was kind of ironic, Eric, because Fishbowl Radio Network was just like the fishbowl of the hood, because there was one way in, one way out off of Riverside Drive. You could only go in one way and come
yeah,
out one way. And
yep,
yeah, you went in there for dirty business, whether it
yeah,
be drugs or whatever it is, prostitutes, whatever it is, they had it in the fishbowl.
yeah.
You know.
And everybody in the neighborhood knew if you didn't belong,
Oh
which
yeah,
made it really
definitely,
hard for cops to fight anything in there.
definitely.
Uh,
And you had whistleblowers on the corner. Here
yeah,
come police. You know,
yep. Like
they'll
releasing
let
the
you know
doves on training day, right?
Absolutely right. Absolutely. I know they did it in Flint. I know they did it. I know they did it.
Not doves. They couldn't afford those. They had pigeons.
They had pigeons.
Yeah, they catch them. So, um,
Golly, man. And don't
not in
drink the
my area.
water.
Yeah, yeah. Don't drink the water. They still struggling on that. So,
Wow.
um, okay. So you get that going. That was one way to help your community.
Oh,
You
yes.
know, there's
Yes.
a one side of the bridge, if you will, and then you decided to be the other side of the bridge by getting a badge.
Yes, sir.
So, what was the reaction like? I mean, I'm trying to think like now you just became a bootlicker.
Well,
Like, you know?
one thing about it, I was quite surprised because a lot of my friends in the neighborhood applaud me. They
Really?
was happy. They was happy to see me. Uh, and to this day, I still have close friends that are happy that I'm part of the
Yeah.
force.
But
I get a,
you surrounded yourself with probably pretty positive people. What I know cuz I got them too. What
mhm.
about your friends that weren't necessarily the most upstanding citizens?
Oh yeah.
Did you lose a lot of
Oh yeah.
friends? Did you gain? Did they
You know
just
what?
curious what they think?
At first I did. At first I did. There was a lot of uh, naysaying, through those individuals. But when they start encountering problems and they needed to trust the police,
You was it.
well, I was the one that they trusted,
Yeah.
so this is a good thing.
And
Yeah.
that's why I try to push so hard for departments to try to put their people, if they grew up in that city, in their areas. Like a lot of times, you'll see departments, they'll get a guy that was born and raised in that city they work for, but they're not put anywhere near where they worked because they think there's going to be some sort of a, I don't want to call it nepotism, but some sort of
Right.
favoritism or emotional compromise. I think it's a good thing. I
Right.
think if we can get more people to do what you did, now I could never be a cop in Flint. I wouldn't want to be.
Right.
One, they don't pay enough. Like
Right.
it ain't worth it. I could go be a Walmart manager and make the same amount.
Wow. Wow.
So until the citizens decide to back their cops there, then I had no desire to go back there. So
Wow.
now, I'm where I'm at now. Love it. Love the support. It's awesome. But I think it's
Yeah.
even cooler for guys like you that get to be an officer in an area that they grew up, that they get to help people they know and
Right.
really bridge that communication gap because now they got somebody that knows exactly where they're coming from.
Yeah. Yeah, and
Yeah.
also experience what they have experienced as far as what we first started talking about is the low income neighborhood and the struggle that they have within there,
Hmm.
to survive. So there's a different understanding when you've been there and you encounter them on that level.
Yeah.
You can kind of say, okay, well, I can understand that, but here's the right way to do it. And because they trust you, they listen. You know,
Yeah.
like, okay, I know he lived on that block. So what he's saying, might be right, you know, versus somebody else who may be from Cleburne, Texas, or Joshua, and they come tell you, you be like, oh man,
Yeah.
you don't know, you ain't never been through no struggle.
Right. Or a white boy from
uh,
Michigan.
yeah,
Yeah.
well, I'm gonna tell you about you. You know what I mean? And I need to say this to radio world because I really feel this. When I first met E, uh, the energy was live. Even though he was my superior at the time, he was my trainer. But at the same time, his energy was real. It's no faking in the guy. I mean, when he say he don't see no color, he's exactly right. He embraced me and also several others that look like me within the department, and it was never any kind of speculation that he had any kind of bias in him. No racism, nothing like that. And so if I seen it and I came from the block, you know, I'm sure that the people on the block see it as well. He gonna stand up for what's right, even if you got a badge or not. And he also gonna, correct you when you're wrong, badge or not. You know, so there's no what they call superficial thin blue line with E. And he's, I wouldn't be sitting on here right now with him if I felt any other kind of way.
Yeah.
And I had him on my radio show at the Mission. And
Well
because
before the podcast was even a thought.
I mean,
Yeah.
but when I replayed that broadcast, I had thousands listening to that broadcast, and I had a lot of people stating that was real, and you
Yeah.
opened some people's eyes as far as a Caucasian officer. You open their eyes that not all officers are like that one with the George Floyd situation. You
Yeah.
know, you open their eyes. So I applaud you for that.
That was fun, man. That was a neat experience. Love to do it again. I had a lot of fun. That was good.
Heck, we're
I
gonna do it again.
I think we had some good discussions, and
Yes, we did.
it's always
Oh man,
it's always fun to go in as the underdog in a way, because I
yeah.
expected some flack. 'Cause, well, I mean,
Well, I got some. I got
uh,
some.
yeah,
I
you
got some
did.
flack. Yeah, I
Yeah,
did because they said, "Oh, you have a Levine on there. Do you think he really represent this, that, and the third?" I said, you know
right.
what, this guy right here. Just listen to the broadcast. Just
Yeah,
listen to
yeah.
the broadcast, and you come back and talk to me later. You know.
Okay. Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? So some of those individuals actually came back to me and said, "Oh, I understand why you had them on there."
yeah,
So that was good.
yeah.
That was real good.
It's fun, man. I like it. I think
Heck
I think
yeah.
anytime you're passionate about something, it it comes across. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's genuine. You can tell it's not being faked. So don't fake the funk.
You
You know what I'm
can't fake
saying?
it. You can't
So
fake it. We're like kids, and when you're around kids, they're brutally honest. You
yep.
know, they are brutally. I know you have kids, so if they
Oh
don't like
yeah.
somebody, how can you even tell them, hey, you go over there and talk to such and such? If they don't like them, they just don't like them.
Right.
So
Yep.
that's why you can't fake it. Yeah, you
Yeah.
can't do it.
Yeah. So yeah, our episode. It's funny. I have to post that on my podcast. I forgot about that. To be
Yeah,
honest,
yeah,
I forgot that was recorded. So
sure
yeah,
was.
we could post that. That was fun, and then maybe do a
Sure.
part two. Um,
We need to
yeah, we
add
had.
add Dion Nash. on
Yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah. Well, I had. I just talked to Dion the other day.
Cool.
Uh, he he's willing to come on my podcast, so I was like, yeah, dude, come on. We'll just cut it up and talk about all the issues that you want to get off your chest, man. He's a very, for those listening, Dion is a very passionate dude. Like
Yes,
he's
he
got a
is.
lot of things he wants to get off his chest, and he's he's got like a sneaky, I don't know how to put it, a sneaky like message. Like he'll set it up and you don't see it coming, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh shit, he just slapped me with knowledge. So yeah.
Yeah,
I'll
yeah.
tell him, I'm like, sometimes, dude, I'm like, where the fuck is he going with this?
I do
And
too.
and I'm like, he's gonna piss off a lot of people. And then all of a sudden he flips it and you're like, oh, okay. That's clever,
Right,
dude. That's
right.
clever. So
He
yeah.
got us like that, on that
Yeah.
show a
Yeah.
couple times.
I think he was nervous on the show because
I
when
know
I
he
talked to
was.
him, he's talked smooth on the podcast,
Right.
like or on your radio show. He was a little like I don't know if he was trying to measure his words better, but he wasn't coming across as smooth. So
Nah, he wasn't smooth at all. And I'm gonna let you listen to it again. You
all
listen
right,
to
yeah.
it and tell me about it.
I went
But
on
that
there
was a
representing
fun
Detroit
show.
as I was repping Detroit to the fullest.
Yeah,
I
you
had my
were.
Detroit hat. We were at the baseball stadium, so I had my Detroit jersey on, and they all came dressed to impress. I was like, oh shit, I guess I
Yeah,
underdressed.
yeah. And then who else we had? We had one more.
Yeah, the Hispanic dude. I can't think of his name though.
Oh my God, I know him too. Pat. His last name still started with a P. I just know it. But
Palomino,
he's cool. Palomino.
was that it?
That's his name. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That's him. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
So we had a black guy, a white guy, and an Hispanic guy.
Yep.
You know,
Yeah.
who would have figured?
Yeah.
You know,
And it was fun because people were like chatting in live while we were going.
right.
Stuff that I can't really do on this because I'm alone. So I wish I could do that. But
Heck yeah.
have you seen the little Twitch videos that I do where I watch body cam footage?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. So
I
I'll do
follow.
that, and then I can respond while I'm doing that.
Yeah.
But for the podcast itself, like this is pre-recorded. We're not even live, so nobody could watch this until I post it. So, but,
well, we're gonna setting up over here where we're going live. So now that I know that we can link up this way,
yeah,
I will definitely link up with you and we can go
hell
live.
Yeah. So, I'm skipping to the next topic. Sorry.
Okay.
You get it. You get to become a cop. All right.
Mhm.
Now you go through the academy, which beat the hell out of you. One, because of your age, and two, let's face it, your background had nothing to do with that stuff.
Right.
I mean, you were about as opposite as it comes when it comes to paramilitary. You're a liberal arts dude. So, you did some college. What'd you do for college?
Yeah, you did broadcasting.
Broadcasting stuff.
Yeah, communication.
Okay. Cool.
I dipped a little bit into football, but I knew it wasn't my passion.
Yeah.
And everything
Well,
that I do,
it's hard to have a passion for football when you're a Dallas Cowboys fan. So I get it. So.
I knew it was coming. From a Detroit guy.
You're right. That's all we can do is talk shit. So, hey, we just won the Super Bowl. I don't know if you know that.
Oh,
yeah, Stafford. With Matt Stafford.
He just told you guys. He said,
he said that's for you, Detroit. That's what
That
he
what you
said.
said?
That's what he said.
I didn't see that interview.
I read
I
his
didn't see that
lips.
one.
I read his lips.
Oh,
That's
you
what he
read
was
it?
doing. Yeah.
A lip reader.
I think he
Okay.
looked at the camera and like, Eric, that was for you. 39 years of fan.
I think
Yeah.
all Detroit's felt that way. All Detroit fans felt that way.
That's what happens when you're a good leader.
Oh,
He gave his heart and soul for that team, and he never got
yeah, he
backed
did.
up. So,
Nope.
but okay.
Ownership.
So, yep. So you go through the academy, beats the hell out of you, but you make it. You go through your FTO training and all that, and now you're a cop. How does a guy like you start getting down the path that you wanted to do? And was it what you thought it was going to be?
No, it was not what I thought it was going to be. You know, I had the freedom of making decisions based on, you know, how I felt about that certain situation. I wasn't forced to tell me, hey, this is how you handle this situation. I handled it accordingly to what I knew as a 40-year-old man. You know, I uh, I was mature, a little bit more mature than most of the rookies that was coming on. You know, so
Yes.
I'd already been through marriage, divorce, you know, unemployed, employed again, homeowner, you know, all that,
Yeah.
father, you know, I have kids, you know, so all that came to play when I became a cop, you know, and it helped me out to know the streets, you know what I mean? Because I knew the streets very well, you know, especially in Stop Six Eastwood, where they did initially put me, you know.
Okay.
So I was able to say, okay, well, get to the calls quickly because I knew the streets, I knew the back streets, you know, and it was easy for me
Mm-hmm. So you get there
to
and
walk up to the barber shop conversation.
oh,
Mhm.
sorry, you cut out a little bit there. That's all.
Oh,
Yeah, your connection, I think, took a dip. So you
you hear
get
me?
to
Can you hear me?
yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you now.
Okay.
So you were saying that it was easy for you to get places, take the back streets. You could go to the barbershop, have conversations,
Yeah.
stuff like that. Okay.
Sure.
So you get over there and the idea you had in your head, now this may take you time to think about, but the idea you
Mhm.
had in your head before you became a cop, but knowing you wanted to be one to try to be the change versus now you know the job and you're there
Mhm.
making the decisions. How big was the difference?
It was a major difference because see, when I came in, I didn't know how much I had sold out to the stereotypical views of media, social media, and everything else when I became police. I thought that the police were really crooked. I thought that there
Mhm.
was, you know, I thought that, you know, there was everything that the media said they were, you know, but becoming police, I seen that they was fathers, they were husbands, they had lives outside this job, and they really wanted to make a difference, like I did. You
Yeah.
know, I don't care what complexion they were, uh, you know, anything like that. They wanted to make a difference. I've been on scenes where they run up into houses, you know, to save somebody that's not their color. They're not their color. You
Yeah.
know, I've done that. You know, I've been a part of rescues and stuff like that in the streets, and nobody hesitate. Nobody. You
Yeah.
know, soon we get to the scenes, they run to the danger. You know,
Yeah.
so that was different than what the media paint us to be. You
Yeah.
know,
So you've got a real opportunity here to kind of explain to those that were in your shoes that still think all of that. Or they still
right?
think that police are just inherently racist, that they still think police They think that thin blue line. They don't think we're going to hold each other accountable. And one of the things I tell people is every year that I've been a cop either at my department or locally somewhere close has been arrested and convicted of something that they were caught within their own agencies. They were held accountable. You just don't hear that in the news because it ain't sexy. That's what we're supposed to do. You never hear it. So you always hear that we're covering up for each other. We're doing all this stuff. And have there been instances of that? Yeah. There have been, but I think they're very few and far between opposed to how often we do hold each other accountable. So it's one thing coming from white male cop from the North, totally different thing from a guy where you're with your background, your experience and everything.
Well, I must say this, that those that are caught, doing something that is in violation of the general orders of our department, they are punished. They are punished. And there are officers like yourself, E, and also me. If I see anyone who's doing something that I feel like is not right, I stepped up to them. I don't care how many years they had with the force or nothing. Hey, man, that's wrong. Let's do it this way.
Right.
And the way you carry yourself in the department is how they react to your counsel. Like with you, I look at you with high regard. So if you come at me, you're not coming at me to destroy me or because you're trying to, hold your nuts, so to speak. But it's one of those, hey man, I don't want to get you, I don't want you to get jammed up.
Right.
So, hey, Percy, don't do that. Do it like this, and we have people in our department that are like that, and we don't chastise publicly, like you say. That's not our style. We don't have to cuss each other out in front of everybody to show them that, hey, we're correcting this situation or we don't like this situation. We do it like everybody else should do it. Man to man, woman to woman, and hey, we correct ourselves.
Right. And I think one of the things that I want people to understand, I don't say you have to understand, but I would like people to understand is like, if we see a cop doing something blatantly illegal, it's easy. It's easy. You're done. You're done. Right. There's no me going to you and coaching you and trying to, hey dude, you can't be doing this. It's over with. Because I ain't losing my career for your dumbass at all. So that's why I try to tell people. I'm like, I'm not. Because as soon as they find out that, well, Levine, you saw him do that. It's on body cam, or it's this, or we got evidence that you knew, and you're done. Right. So now I'm going to go down because you're an asshole. No, that's not how it's going to happen. So for me, like that's an easy decision. The part where it gets muddy to people is, some dude just beat the hell out of his wife. And the first thing I want to do is, you fucking asshole. Like, I want to chew that dude out. Like, what the hell's wrong? Call him a pussy, coward, whatever it is you want to call him.
Right.
But you got to slow your roll. And sometimes you get to that scene where a kid's, on death's door, or is dead because, the boyfriend killed the kid, like, your emotions, we're human, and your emotions can get the best of you. And that's when I need somebody like Holland to step in and be like, whoa, Levine, just let it go. I'll handle this. I got this. And that's what we're talking about when we say keep each other in check, step in. Because there is a level of human reaction that can happen. You get in a fight and the dude caught you and you know you're seeing stars. And as you're coming out of the fog, you're hitting the guy, trying to get his arms behind his back, and you don't even realize he's knocked out or whatever it is, and you're still hitting him because you're not you for a second.
That's right.
And if you've never been in a real fight, that's hard to understand. So that's why you need to look out for each other. I got an example of a guy a rookie that I trained. I had went out to patrol for like 30 days at the time. It was when I was an academy instructor. and patrol was short, so I went out to help patrol. And we got in a pursuit. It was his pursuit. My, dude I trained, so it was kind of fun. And I'm riding passenger in a patrol car. It's a 2-man, and I was like, "Drop me off right here," because the car was wrecking out. Like the person was going to jump out and run. Well, I jump out. I'm chasing on foot, and so is the rookie that I had trained. And we get there same time. He just happens to tackle, so I come in for the assist, and I already had the arm behind the back on my side, and so did he. But he was in that OODA loop where his adrenaline's going. And he's like, "Put your hands behind your back," and he's like pushing down, like trying to get the arms behind the back. He didn't realize we already had him. They're already back there. And I was like, "Wait." So all I did was say, "All right, relax, relax." That was it. That's all I had to say. Got the cuffs on. I was like, "I got him. Go." So he could breathe. It wasn't that he was going to hurt this person, but his brain needed to register everything. So it looks like your connection bottomed out all of a sudden.
There you go. You're back on.
Okay. You can hear me?
I can hear.
Okay. I may have just told that whole story that you didn't hear.
I didn't hear none of that, man. No.
Oh man, that's okay.
Man, wow.
So I'll give you the Reader's Digest. Basically, a rookie I had trained. We both chased down a bad guy. He tackled him, and he was so wound up from the pursuit, he didn't realize I had an arm behind the back, and he had the other arm, and he keeps going, "Put your hands behind your back. Put your hands behind your back." So to de-escalate and to before he did anything extreme, not intentionally, but I was like, "All right, relax, relax. We got him. We got him." I put the cuffs on. I said, "All right, I got this." So he had a time to go process what just happened.
Yeah.
So it's as simple as that. And that's what we're talking about when we say keep other officers in check, and things of that nature. Nothing illegal, guys. Like I said, if a cop's doing something dirty, like breaking a law, that's simple. That's really not a question. And I think when citizens support their cops, those decisions are super easy to make for police because they don't want to lose that support.
That's right. And the relationships. I mean, you don't want a bad relationship with the community, because you did try to sweep something under the rug that's now being exposed, and you're part of it, because you actually swept it under the rug. So no officer, I'll say this, no officer goes to work with, "I'm going to break the law today."
Yeah.
I mean, nobody that I know go to work and say, "I'm going to go break the law today because I just feel like it."
Yeah.
I'm just going to do something,
Yeah.
I mean, things happen. We are human, we're not robots, we do go through divorces. We do, do everything that society does, but we're held to a higher standard because of our position and our job title.
Yep.
Okay.
Now, the one thing that I wish we could get out of is just thinking you need to fire a cop every time they mess up.
Oh, wow.
I know cops are going to agree with that. The hard part is right now society demands perfection.
Right.
It's unrealistic.
Right.
How often before you became a cop were you thinking like they need to be fired? They need to be fired versus now. Has that changed at all, or did you have a pretty open mind about learning from mistakes before that?
Well, again, I want to hear the whole story. I don't want to see the clip that you showed on Facebook. I want to know the background of the story, and I always have been like that, even in my personal life. I'll never judge anybody. I like to see their story, and how did they get to that point right there,
Yeah.
So no, I wasn't one that is instantly want to convict somebody, because of what I heard on Facebook or what I heard on the news. I'm gonna tell you this, Levine. I was on a call, It was a homicide, and I had to work to 12. Deceased person,
Yeah.
but I got home and I'm listening to the news, and they're telling their version of what happened when I was there.
Right.
I
And you
said,
see the media
absolutely
twist,
not.
right?
I
Isn't
mean,
that crazy? And the thing that I think's funny now is like I look at it like I'm technically the media now, and so are you.
right, right, right. You
So
know what I mean? We know the
yeah,
truth. We're out
yeah,
there. You know, another thing that I want to say is that nobody is exposed to the actual nightmare more than police. We're the ones that see the dead bodies. We're the ones that see the victim that has been molested. We're the ones that are dodging bullets when a person want to fire at us, insults that we endure every day. You know,
yeah,
we get all that, and then we have to come home and be human to wives, be human to kids, mothers, everyone else in our family circle. We have to come home and be, human to them after
yeah.
enduring all that we seen on the job, you
Yeah.
know, and
Now,
we need some. Yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I'm sorry, I cut you off, but
No, no, go ahead.
as as a black officer, and I've heard this before,
Hmm.
but you being a black officer and going back where you grew up, um, I know your friends and stuff support you, but not everybody in the neighborhood is going to know who you are, especially maybe the younger guys. Um, are you getting it from both sides now? I've heard that
Oh yeah.
like you know what I mean, like you got
Oh
to
yeah.
deal with racism in your
Oh
own
yeah.
life, and then you got to deal with racism as a cop from people you're
Oh
trying
yeah.
to help. So
Oh yeah.
what is that like, man?
Well, man, that's a tough one. I mean, because from white people, a black cop is still, I mean, not, and that's not everybody. So let's not stereotype. But
Right,
there are certain people who are stuck in the past, and they feel that blacks shouldn't hold such positions.
right. And you
Uh,
look like you came from the past, so
you know,
with that that white beard.
especially now. I was trying to
Yeah.
get my Abe Lincoln going. My Abe Lincoln. See that profile?
I like it.
I mean, but black people, they still don't understand the concept of why we're necessary within the department. They feel that you have sold out because you took on the badge. That you're standing up more for law enforcement than you're standing for them. You
Yeah,
know, and when you're hired to support them and protect them, but they feel like, oh no, you're gonna take the law enforcement, side of everything, and not my
right.
side. I'm not gonna be heard, even though I have a point of view. Because you have that badge, you're not interested in my point of view.
Yeah,
You've been trained to just obey the department. You know what I mean? And that's
yeah,
how they look at it.
yeah. And what's cool about your story is you didn't do this at a young age. You
Mhm.
grew up, you seen generations go through your neighborhood before you became a cop. And
Yes, sir.
that's unique in
Yes, sir.
itself. So your ability to
Well,
reach your community is I think much higher than most people.
I seen it when Stop Sis was thriving. I seen where Eastwood was thriving, and the neighborhood didn't need much policing because you had parents and respectable elders in those. I mean, the second of pan.
Hold on, you're cutting out. Hold on a second. You're cutting out. I can see your network connection drop to like 0. We are having technical difficulties. So, with that said, please stop by our new website. 2 Cops, 1 Donut. Oh, he totally dropped. Yeah, be sure to stop by my our new website, 2cops1donut.com, all spelled out. TWOCOPSONEDONUT.com. If you want to help support the show, I have some chocolate and pink iced donut stickers on there. They look just like the one behind me. If you want to make fun of Holland for his terrible webcam that he has, because it looks like he's recording with a potato, go ahead and do that. He does have a camera, a good one, and we were trying to get it to work before this, but something's up with it, so it didn't work. I'm hoping he's able to reconnect, and I'm going to send him a little message. Hey, just go ahead and reconnect. I'm still talking. And hopefully he's still got the link too. I will send him the link. But yeah, so with what Holland was saying, I really like that perspective of growing up in the neighborhood for as long as he did. Looks like he's trying to reconnect again. And it's unique. And I'm curious at just how successful it's been for him. I'm going to keep talking while he tries to get his stuff going. Right now, his camera looks like hot garbage. Let's get him. There he is.
There I am.
All right. Okay,
Yeah,
he's
look
back.
at me. This is my gray look.
Yeah. So the last thing that I heard was you talking about I had said something about growing up for generations in your neighborhood, and how that's to me it seems like that's a unique advantage. And how successful was it for you, or is it for you?
Yeah, it's very successful because, like I said, I'm gonna use this analogy. When you was growing up, you had uncles, that was able to talk to you and correct you, you know, and then they took you took more, I guess, of a respectful angle with them than you would a stranger that you didn't know.
Right.
Somebody that you never seen before come to you and said, "Hey, Eric, that's not right," versus your uncle, "That's not right." When
Mm-hmm.
you have that relationship and and they know you, or heard of you, because even folks that didn't know me, well, their dad, mom, uncle, sisters, somebody know me. You know what I mean? Because Fort
Yeah.
Worth is a small circle. So the thing is that that's where the success is by being able to and folks that you grown up with. I know people who are hooked on dope today, but that wasn't hooked on dope 10 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And they know me. So when they see me, although they're in their low place as far as addiction is concerned, I'm still able to talk to them in a certain way because
Yeah.
they know me. You know what I mean? So when I see them, hey, how you doing today? You know what I mean? You know, yeah, they tell me different things, and I'll be like, okay, well, man, let me know how I can help you.
Yeah.
I am here for you. I knew you back in the day. I get to reminiscing about things that we did back in the day, and they get to smiling and crying. I had grown men cry after reminiscing on some of the things that we did back in the day. And they said,
Right.
man, I remember that, man. I wish we could go back to that, but right now I'm doing bad. I said,
Yeah.
well, don't give up. No. Hey, we got some things that we can do and still do to move forward, and
Yeah.
they listen. They
Yeah.
listen, you know.
Yep.
So
So
That's how it
how
goes
would
for me.
you? So the one of the things that I try to do with this podcast
Mhm.
is bridge gaps and give we gave perspective on what you did, how you got to where you're at, and all that stuff.
Mhm.
How do we encourage people to follow? And do you think it's a good idea? How do we encourage people to do what you did? To do kind of what I did. I grew up in a bad
Right.
place too, but instead of being a part of the problem, that it is actually worth being the solution. And they don't have to be a cop to be the solution, but this is two cops, one donut. So we're going to talk about being a cop. So
You know what? We got to do a better job, and that's us all collectively of getting out in the community and forming relationships. We got to, even if it's not a police situation, like going to the barber shop wasn't a police situation. It was just me get me a burger and say, I'm going to eat this burger in this barber shop and see what they're talking about. I didn't
yeah,
even solicit their business or anything else, but I just sit in the barber shop and let them drill me with questions about the department, about policing, get my take on George Floyd or whoever.
yeah,
And by me doing that, that forms a relationship, you know, and we don't have enough of that going on with our officers. We have to get out there, shake hands, kiss babies, and show them that we're there for them in their worst day when they call
yeah.
911, you know?
And I think I'll add to that. I think you need to be genuine. It can't
Yes,
be something that you're doing just because you're checking a box. Well, I tried to help the city by doing this.
right,
No, you need to be invested. You need
right,
to, if that's your beat and you don't know that area, you didn't grow up there, let's just say, you need to actually want to go there. You
right,
need to find the spots to go, like the barbershop. Like that's always a good spot.
right.
Um, Talk with the owner. Hey man, this is kind of my idea.
Mhm.
Is it cool? You know,
Right,
if they say no, well, you tried. You genuinely tried.
right,
Not just trying to check a box, but
right.
it's. I don't think of it as outside the box thinking, but if you are not used to that and you're not a social person, I know that sounds weird, becoming a cop and not being a social person, but
We have them.
we have them. You know, being a social person is not a requirement to becoming a cop.
Right.
You just got to not be a psycho and and have some book
That's right.
smarts. So it's
That's
really
right.
all. It's really what it comes down to. Pass that psych eval, be able to do a little bit of fitness,
That's
and
it.
pass your book smarts.
That's
Social
it.
skills are not a requirement.
That's right.
And how do you test for it?
You can.
You can't
You
test for
can.
social skills. I mean, there's ways you can kind of, but even if you sit down and talk to somebody for 10, 20 minutes, are you really getting to know them? Are you really getting, that social aspect of it to where you think you can read them enough? Maybe. I don't know.
And another
So,
thing you can teach is bravery. You can't teach a person to have the courage to walk in the street at night to police. You can't teach that.
right.
I hear everybody saying, "Well, they need more training." Well, the bottom line is, if a person is afraid, they're gonna react a different way, point blank. You know,
Yeah.
you are from Flint, so you walking in Stop City Street or Eastwood Street is different than a person who is from maybe Joshua, Texas, or somewhere small and remote. I
Yeah.
mean, it'll be, hey man, what's going on here? Even though they seen TV shows and they've been through the world's best academy with Fort Worth PD, you know,
Right.
but at the same time, if you're scary, you might want to give back your badge because you're gonna make the news. That's just
Yeah.
point blank, That's point blank,
Yeah.
you know.
And it's one of those things where, if you're getting good training, it gives you the confidence to conquer your fears,
Right.
you
Right.
know? And
Right.
then I always tell people over time, exposure in the job also helps conquer some fears.
Right.
You can't avoid the things that scare the crap out of you.
Right.
You gotta
Right.
face them and tackle them. So
No.
my advice for the rookies out there, if you got an area that you're concerned about, get a veteran officer,
Right.
have him walk you around, introduce you to people. Get a guy like Holland. I'll be like, hey, dude, I got to work this area. I'm from Joshua, Texas. I have no business being over here. I need, I need,
Oh
I need
God.
somebody that knows.
Right.
And I tell people, be honest. Don't go out there and try to fake like you belong, because they're going to see
Right.
through you. They're
Right.
going to see through that in a minute. One, they're
That's
going to
right.
know you're a rookie,
That's
and
right.
two, they're going to know you don't belong.
That's right.
But I think the showing you want to belong, I mean, genuinely want to belong. You got to want to.
Right.
Showing you want to belong, that in
And,
itself helps win people over.
and we're not going to save the world. I mean,
No.
that's
Yeah.
irrational thinking. You're not going to save the world. You're not Superman. You're not any superheroes in Marvel universe.
Right. Yeah.
What you are an employed person with a very important job to serve and protect. Period. That's it. And you
Mm-hmm.
do that call for call. You know what I mean? Because you're gonna get several calls throughout the day, and you're gonna have to forget that last call where they called you everything, or you possibly got into a fight. You know,
Right.
you gotta forget that and go to the next call.
Yeah.
So
No, you're
that's
right.
that's
You're
it.
right. It's a hard concept to tell people. Another way to think of it is imagine dealing with, customer service at McDonald's. Let's say
Right,
you worked at McDonald's and you just dealt with the biggest asshole in line who threw his food in a fit and left the store.
right,
Now, and now you got to deal with the next guy and be happy about it,
right,
because it's McDonald's.
right, right,
You're supposed to be happy, making minimum
right.
wage and eating terrible food for you. So
That's right.
it's the same thing in the police world, except we're talking about things a little more serious than somebody threw some French fries around.
That's right.
Uh, and
That's right.
I hate when cops. I don't want the "woe is me," because there is the argument like, well, that's what you signed up for, dude. I
Right,
agree,
right. Nah.
it is,
Yeah.
but
Nah.
but if we're going to bridge things, you need both sides.
Right.
So you can't just look at cops, and this is my message for citizens out there. You can't just look at cops and say, "Well, that's what you signed up for."
That's right.
We need you too. We
Hold
need
on
your
just
help.
a
We need
second.
your
Hold on.
empathy. Oh, you good? He got grandkids over there right now, so he's probably doing his grandpa thing. It's so funny. He was old as you could get, going through the academy, and I can hear myself in his speakers now that he took them off his head. That's funny. But when I say I was rooting for an underdog for Holland, um, he really was an underdog, because he he was not a physical specimen by any means, but damn, he had a lot of heart. I mean, we'd go on these runs, a mile, 2 miles, whatever it was. He'd be, last or close to last, and he had his eye on the prize. He knew he wanted to make it. So it's just a cool story. But he's back. Them grandkids getting you, son?
Yeah, man. That's them, them grandkids, man. I tell you, I got baby kids over here. They don't die, they
Oh, they
multiply.
multiply.
you know,
Oh, I
they're
love that.
I'll tell you right now, uh, another reason for Officer Holland to become police was these boys I have. You know, one thing about it is that I pride myself to walk the walk that I want them to follow.
Be the
You know what I mean?
example.
And if you can't, if you're ashamed to have your grandkids or your kids to follow your example, that's some self-evaluation, that
Yeah.
you got to look at. If you're ashamed of your kids saying, I want to be just like daddy, there's a problem. There's a big problem. You need to check yourself. And that's police or whoever else you want to
Yeah.
be or who you are. You know, your lifestyle should be a mirror for your kids to be able to look at and be proud of. If it's not, you ain't you need
Yeah.
you need to you need to come to Jesus meeting with yourself and be honest. Be
Yeah.
real honest with yourself.
Yep. Yeah, it's I like the communication aspect, and um, I like trying the message that I was just my brain was kind of formulating around. I don't think I've ever thought of it this way before,
Mhm.
but we really do need empathy and help. I think that's one of the most important things, at least to this episode, for
Right.
people to understand that yes, we know what we signed up for. We're willing to go into the fire. We're willing to go, meet the bullets with our bullets, all that stuff.
Right.
But just because we did that doesn't mean we can do it alone. It
Right.
doesn't mean that I need, I can't do, I want people to understand we cannot do the job without them.
That's right.
It's a
That's
team
right.
effort. It's a team effort.
That's right.
And
That's right.
so from this message of us talking and stuff, like, I think that's the most important part of this is just understanding that we need your empathy. We need
Right.
not necessary sympathy. I don't want you to feel sorry for me. I just need understanding. Understanding when we screw up, understanding when we do things really well.
That's right.
Understanding when we don't have an answer.
That's right.
Yeah,
We're not perfect, okay,
Yeah.
and we never claim to be. What we did claim, is that, or where we swore to, is to serve and protect. And in doing so, we need your help. As far as community is concerned, to help us do that, because with what we have, Eric, we have about 500 cops, you would say, in patrol, maybe,
Right.
you know, and we're not going to be everywhere at every time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We're going to have some slow responses depending on what's going on in the city. Sometimes we have some major events, like that ice storm where, the tollway had piled up. I mean, we had
Yep.
to drum up everybody to get out there and dig up bodies.
Yeah.
So we
Yep.
need a community to be able to say, hey, um, I need to watch out for our officers, and look out to the neighborhood. If I know
Yeah.
somebody who's doing something wrong, report it.
Yeah. And
Excuse me.
got that Rona. But the benefit of that, and I'm looking at it twofold. As a cop, when I see the community getting together to bring out little box lunches or whatever while we're standing out on the freeway trying to clear, 200-300 cars out of there or whatever it was, and
Right.
trying to rescue people because a lot of people just need just to be rescued to get out of there.
That's right.
Because they were trapped or whatever it was. That to me is like it furthers the drive to keep doing the job. I'm like, oh my God, these people
Right.
really see what I'm doing. I don't do the job because I need appreciation, but I tell you what, when you get it, it's a breath of fresh air. Because like you said, in the media, you don't see that.
Nope.
So that's when I tell people, I'm like, when I say the community that we need them, this the type of things that we need
Right.
to be a one unit, to be, a community with the cops and the people that we serve. My wife just called me. She probably doesn't know I'm on a podcast. Just sending her a message. I'm not ignoring you. just on the
Yes.
podcast. But yeah, man. So all right. I think we beat that horse to death. So you're making waves in your community, you do all that.
Mhm.
Where are you gonna go from here now that you've basically conquered your goal,
Yeah,
right?
that's
Okay, so
right.
you've reached your goal. Is it everything you thought it was going to be? Are you doing better than you thought you're going to be doing, or are you not reaching what you thought you'd reach when you got there?
Well, there's always, I'm a person that always set more and more goals as I go along. I'm always studying for the next move, you know, and
Yeah.
that next move is, like I said, just trying to better myself, better my craft. You know, I don't think that you can ever be a great a great officer without, aspiring to be great,
Right.
without studying, without improving yourself, tighten up where you're weak, you know. I mean, that's what I do on a daily basis. I self examine myself each and every day at the shift. I'm like, okay,
Hmm.
I could have talked to her a little bit better than that, or maybe I should have asked that. Maybe I could have been more helpful right there. What could have made me be more helpful? Maybe I need to hook up with this organization or this organization, so I'll have that next time that come about, I'll be able to throw that card at her,
Yeah.
so there's a lot of things that I'm trying to improve on as a person to be a better officer, you know.
Yeah.
um, I got a couple more years with this officer thing, and then I think my life is going to be dedicated to my grandkids, and
Okay.
make sure they get up and don't get into the trouble, and be the best people, and live on to carry on my name.
Yeah. Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know
Yeah.
and enjoy some life before God take me on home. you know
I got you. All
yeah.
right. All right. So you're gonna finish it out, staying in patrol,
Well, right now
doing
I'm in schools. I'm in Morningside Middle School. Whoop whoop.
okay.
I'm looking to become an NPO, or maybe one day soon. I think that will be my last position within
Okay.
Fort Worth PD.
Definitely makes sense. Where you're coming from, you know, especially with your goals and stuff. I see that happening. Um, Sorry, I'm just writing
No,
down
you're good. You're good.
my wife's.
Make it
Okay.
happen, man. Make it
Yeah.
happen.
Um, yeah, exactly. But all right. So yeah, I could see you doing the MPO gig. That would
Yeah,
be a good fit for you.
yeah.
Working in the schools though, trying to catch the major issues before they become major issues.
That was important to me because as a kid, and we discussed prior in this community, in this broadcast, um, I was a kid that didn't really want to be the police because I had that misconception of the police.
Yeah.
Okay. So now that I am police and I'm talking to like sixth, seventh, eighth graders and showing them a different perspective, something different than the stereotypical view that the media have shown them. Now
Right.
they're like Officer P. I want to be a officer, you know,
Yeah.
and I'm like, well, hey, I'm doing my job, and
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
that's that's all that matters. That's
Right.
a good thing. Made me feel good.
Good. That's awesome, man. I like that. And it being in schools is that's a different beast in itself
Oh yeah. Oh
because
yeah.
those kids do break laws.
Ooh,
I
jeez.
mean, I've had 12-year-olds stealing cars. I had a 9-year-old steal a car. And I try to tell people, I'm like,
Yeah, yeah.
some of
They
my
do that.
biggest some of my biggest failures, in my opinion, is taking at the time he was 14 and trying to give him the talk.
Right.
The best way I could without sounding preachy or anything like that. And trying to relate to a kid that I had no business trying to relate to, and thinking I could help him, and having to arrest him later on and watching him go to big boy jail.
Right.
You know,
I've
like,
done that.
sucks.
Oh.
It's hard. It's hard to do, and you feel like a failure because you're like, man, maybe if I reached him a little earlier, kind of like what you're doing.
My thing is, that was the best conversation I ever had. The guy that I arrested, that I had actually talked to a coach before the arrest. I had already talked to this guy, ran into him on the street, told him what would happen to him, and I had to arrest him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And as we ride in the patrol car and he's in the back, the dialogue was just, I wish I could have recorded. I wish I could. Man,
Yeah.
it was so on point because he was saying, I'm sorry. I failed you. I failed myself. I failed my mom. And I said, you did. You did. Now what are we going to do now? Okay.
Yeah.
What are
Can't
we
change
going to
the
do
past.
now? Yeah.
Yeah.
You're going in and you might even go to the penitentiary for a little while. But you're going to get out. What have you learned from where you were at?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? What did
Yep.
you learn? You know, and he kind of told me. He said, Officer P, that's what they call me. He said, Officer P, man, I learned to really, humble myself and listen. And I didn't do it neither. And I'm sorry. I said, well, you know what? That's a start right there. That's a
Yeah.
start. You know,
Mm-hmm.
that's it. So I don't know where he's at now. I didn't follow him until dropped him off, and he went down, and his mom was heartbroken.
Yeah.
That's another thing. She didn't know he was in the stuff he was into. You know,
Okay. It's a surprise to her. Yeah, that's
yeah,
always bad.
yeah. Dad's not around, which is typical.
Yeah.
We talked about that as well. No, dads need to step up, especially for these boys. You
Yep.
know, but when they don't, well, the streets are there, and we talked about that as well. They will
Yep.
raise your kids. I promise you.
Yeah. I mean, I have difficulties now with my kids, and I am home
Right.
of stuff I've got to get out of them from other kids that we're discovering. So I can only imagine, how much harder it is for a mom that's trying to work and do the right thing, but doesn't have anybody else there to help.
Exactly.
So,
And there's a lot of moms out there like that,
mm-hmm.
and I don't doubt them, down them for the decision that they made with the person they made that decision with.
Yeah.
That's none of my business. But what I do tell them is respect yourself enough not to deal with someone who can support you in the decision that you all made. So you
Yeah.
make this child, and you know that this guy have a record of not supporting the kids he already have around, then that's some thought process that you need to go through.
Yeah.
Is he truly a person that I want to be with when he's not taking care of his responsibility?
Yep.
And
a lot of times we get calls too where they're trying to get us to be the dad on the call. And
yeah,
that's a hard road to be on.
Woo,
because
man, wow.
I can't tell you how many times I do want to have the dad talk.
Yeah.
But it's either not professional at the time or whatever it is. Like it's and we all have our own views on how we parent. It's
That's
the
right.
beauty of being a parent. You try to avoid the mistakes that we made with our kids. So
that's right. Well, that's where relationship come in, E. is because when you have a relationship with that family, right? Like in Flint, I'm sure that you have some families that you become close with, you know, and some of them people have had kids.
Yeah.
So if you come around and say, "Hey, listen, let me talk to him,"
Yeah.
I mean, I'm gonna talk to him like he's mine, and they
Yeah.
trust that
Yep.
they're gonna let you go ahead and chastise them verbally the
Yep.
way you would chastise your own, you
Right.
know.
Look at me. Look at my eyes. You fucking up. You're blowing it. Yeah, I'm with you, man.
Yeah, yeah, man.
Well, brother,
Yes,
I think
sir.
we're hit a good spot. Tell me
Yeah,
what's life like right now?
life is
What's the world
wonderful,
like in Holland's world?
man. Life is wonderful, man. I met this beautiful woman, Dorothy. And
Uh-oh. Okay.
yeah, and we look like we're gonna take that next level this year.
Okay.
Yeah, it looks good. The kids are all doing really well, really well.
Yeah.
Yeah, even the grandkids, they're doing really well. So I'm
Yeah.
really blessed on that. Uh, Career wise, I mean, I see future prospects. They're getting brighter and brighter. You know, as far as studying is concerned, I'm studying for the next level. You know,
Okay.
so everything is looking good, even in a troublesome world.
Yeah.
And 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 it sounds funny, but I'm like, wow, I see everything else going to hell, and here I am, still kicking along,
Right.
old man Holland, and I'm still, finding my second wind, and really being the police has brought back my youth as well as
Yeah.
how I'm exercising, what I eat, my mind process. When I need to back up and get my mental together,
Yeah.
it's helped me do all that, put everything in order, as far as
Yep.
my life is concerned. So, no, I don't hang out as much, but I do with the important people in my life, you
Yeah.
know, and
Yeah.
that's the key, man. That's the
So
key.
are you still keeping up with the Mission Radio show?
Yes, and look forward to that because that's coming back out.
Okay.
I'm gonna revamp that. That's the reason why we have all this equipment here at the house. Where we are gonna go ahead and go full throttle. We're gonna do more live events. You
Okay.
know, I'm hooking up with a lot of people who are very inside the business of radio, uh, and it's just going to be an exciting time, man. I
Very
want to take
cool.
this Mission Radio show and spread it out a little bit. Get
Okay.
it not just in the Metroplex, but elsewhere. So, yeah, we're on our way of branding that. You know,
Okay. Very
so look
cool.
out.
Nice. How can tell people how they can find you?
Oh yeah, Fonksta Holland is their name on Facebook. You can inbox me, please. Uh, Hit me up there. I don't mind chit chatting with you, different ideas. I will be advertising on Facebook when the Mission Radio show is ready to go again. I am gonna talk to Sammy, which is the owner of Fishbowl Radio Network, and see how we can go ahead and do some things. She is one of the ones on the list of getting that kicked off really well. So
Okay.
it- I think you met her, right? You met Levine. You met her.
I don't
Sam with
remember.
you.
I don't
Okay.
think so.
Oh, the
I don't.
white lady.
When I was up there was no females that I
Okay.
met.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. We got to go up there because I like what you're doing here, and I'm sure that she can give you some nice tidbits on how you can get things moving really good.
Okay.
Let's make a decision when you come back. From your leave.
Yeah.
Let's hook up you and I, and we'll
Okay.
go to the Fishbowl Radio Network, and I'll introduce you to. Okay.
Okay.
and
That'll work.
he can get you. She can get you some advertisers and everything else to help support what you're doing.
That'd be
Okay.
cool. As
But
long
yeah,
as she thinks it's good.
oh, it's good. It's good. I I have feedback from some folks that are in the business, and I let them see a glimpse, and they were like, "Oh yeah, this is good."
Okay.
So I'm excited for two cops and one donut.
I appreciate it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
man, it's
it's
gonna be looking real good, man, for you.
it's growing. It's like the slowest snowball growing down the mountain right now.
Hey, that's how
It's
it
just
start. No,
yeah,
you know,
snowflake at a time, man.
yeah,
Snowflake at a time.
yeah, build it on up,
Yeah,
man.
but I
Yeah.
gotta say, it's never gone down. It just keeps growing, so I like it.
You're a natural, man. I
I
mean,
appreciate it.
that's it. That's it. When you was on my radio show, uh, that's the feedback. That you was natural, man. You were real smooth with your delivery, and that's really what it takes. And you have a personality that goes over the microphone to the listeners, and that's what radio is. Be honest with you, they got to
Okay.
feel your emotion behind
Yeah.
the mic. You know.
Well, I'll take your expertise for it because I don't have any. I don't know. I'll tell you what, I am the biggest dummy. I can't believe I figured out what I figured out so far.
Oh man, you
Um,
did a great job, man. I was sitting up here and I said, "Hey, you got a nice setup." I mean, oh yeah, I can't wait, and I'm gonna invite you over so you can see my setup as well. And I'm gonna come
okay.
over there and look at yours. And that's another thing that we have to arrange because I think I can add something to yours, and you probably can add something to mine. Especially these cameras like this
Yeah.
GoPro. This GoPro,
Yeah, because the camera you're recording on right now is like a potato.
it is.
It's-
It is.
when
I'll
you
take that.
yeah, when you cut out, I was like, man, Holland's got great sound, all this stuff. I was like, but he's recording on a potato right now because his main camera's down. So I am
Yeah,
apologizing
for
to any
real.
viewers that like to watch.
Oh my God.
Most people just listen anyway. So I think they're really
Right.
going to appreciate the fact that you jumped on with a real recording system. Um,
Oh,
but anybody that
definitely.
likes to watch, they're going to be like, well, maybe I'll just listen to this one. So
Yeah, because it is cloudy, and it's no smoke in here, by the way. No smoke.
no, it's just that 200 megapixel camera you got going on there,
That's what it is. That's
right?
exactly what it is, man.
Well, all right, brother. I appreciate you joining the
Hey,
show.
man. Appreciate you, man.
All
Hey,
right.
hey, I want you to be safe out there, man, and come back to us, man. I know you're leaving for a little
Yeah.
bit, but come
Yeah.
back to us, bro.
We'll do. We'll do, sir. All right. Take it easy, bro.
All right.